Coach, we've talked on multiple occasions about walks, mental lapses in the field. It seems like those are the things that prefaced Oregon's middle innings that really got them out to that big lead.
Yeah, it was, pretty, for this late in the season, that was way too sloppy of a game. Again, I've said that a couple times here, but, Tyler's usually a guy that doesn't walk a lot of guys, and he kind of lost it a little bit there in that third inning with his control, and ultimately walked the bases loaded. Catchable ball in left field. Will just didn't see it off the bat, so we're ultimately still could have got out of that unscathed, but obviously he didn't see the ball off the bat, which was unfortunate because that's a catchable ball. Lampy had to go a long way to try to reel it in. I know he expects that he probably still should have caught it, but it's a pretty routine play for Will if he sees it off the bat. But when you're walking a dangerous line when you walk the bases loaded and expecting to get out of it, and Tyler knows that. He's not. That's normally not like him to walk guys, but I was more, I guess, disappointed in the way we kicked the ball around and just weren't sharp defensively with fielding our position, just making routine throws and catching the baseball. It just wasn't the way that we aspire to play.
They came out strong, though. It didn't seem like they were really relaxed. They came out with some energy, and then what did you see as far as the turning point that really led to that sloppiness? Was it a lack of effort, or was it just sort of just a mental lapse, sometimes unexplainable?
I don't think it was from a lack of effort. These guys come to play hard every day. I just think it's, I'll put it on me for not driving home fundamental stuff enough. Obviously, there's things that I have learned this year as a coach, and I think, reflecting back upon it, we have to do more time on basic Little League fundamental stuff, because I thought, I expect our guys to be able to catch a baseball. I expect our guys to be able to throw a baseball 90 feet, and at times maybe I give a little too much credit for that and don't make them and force them to watch the ball in your glove and make a tag, or field a ground ball and throw it 90 feet. Those are things that we got to maybe work more on because they reared their heads today. Fielding a chopper, back to you, we got to be able to do that. And I put a little too much, gave a little too much credit for us just playing this baseball as long as we have being able to do that. But I learn every day as a coach, and that's something that we got to work more on apparently.
Coach, Kyle's fifth inning yesterday lasted 27 pitches. Today, Tyler goes in the third inning for over 20 pitches. How do you, I guess last night Kyle said it's all about picking the team up and helping the team out, and that's why he came back for 2 more innings and was really, really strong. How do you, put that mentality into Tyler to help him get out of some of those struggles in that third inning?
Well, Tyler, obviously there's things that all of us need to learn and get better at. That's one of those things that, part of that was pitch count that we got him out of there. Part of it was, that's the area where he needs to get better, and he will. I think Tyler has the potential to be a frontline type starter and be very, very good in the Pac-12 and beyond. But those are things that he has to learn and be able to bounce back and lose it for a couple of hitters. We got to figure out ways to limit that. But Tyler's been pretty good for the most part all year in being able to bounce back and give us big innings. Today wasn't his best outing, certainly. But again, we've been walking the fine line all year with him on trying to get him back, but not overuse him. That he's had some shoulder stiffness, and what's the right amount of pitch count? Trying to stretch him out for next weekend and hopefully beyond. All that stuff kind of comes into play, and not overusing him. So there's a lot of things where a lot of different factors at work here versus just the simplistic getting him back out there for the next inning. So I think Tyler's a competitor. He knows there's things he has to work on, and I think as he continues to mature and get more and more experience at this level, Tyler's gonna be just fine. He's long run. He's gonna be a pretty dang good pitcher.
How did Tyler feel coming into today? Because after a couple innings, he had like 18 pitches thrown, and it looked like you were going to get the 4 to 5 innings that you expected out of him. By the time you had to take him out, which may have been a mix of both fatigue and the fact that he had gotten into some trouble again for a second straight inning, like how was he feeling? Did he say?
Ball was still coming out okay. Like I said, just the location was a little bit rusty. I to be honest, I didn't check, see how he was feeling after that. I was, kind of doing a bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll go in and we'll get a report from Jesse on how, who's dinged up and who's feeling good and who's not feeling good. So, but all indications were that he felt fine, coming out after when he did. It's just he was, I think, disappointed in the overall performance and was expecting more out of himself, and sometimes that happens.
Coach, what's the message going into Washington State?
One game at a time. Where we got. What more can you do? Nothing you can do about those games this weekend. That we got to button our chin strap and go up there and get it done and play good baseball, hopefully. So every game matters, and we're going to have to be able to bounce back with who we have available. I mean, that's, I think I'm not an excuse maker. I've always said next man up, next man up, next man up, but we're running out of next man up. We got guys that are big pieces to this team that are unable to go, and that stings a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Bobbing and weaving with the healthy guys that we have, it gets tiring a little bit because the guys that are out there every day are playing hard, and it's just at some point in time you lose the big horses in your lineup. It gets tough to overcome. As hard as you can play as hard as you want all you want, but when you start losing your big horses, it becomes tough. So again, not trying to use that as a crutch or an excuse, but it's just facts. When you lose Ethan and you lose Connor, and you got your pitching staff that's thin, those guys are banged up already, and man, it makes it Hunter Haas out. I mean, it makes it tough, and the guys are spitting and gluing and giving it the best they can. Guys playing out of position and giving it what they got. So from that standpoint, I'm very proud of the guys on their effort level. It's just there's things that are as good as you can be, and that's it. So we'll keep grinding, and these guys will continue to play hard.
Last time I checked, UCLA, Washington State tied 7-7. A loss for Washington State there would have clinched a Pac-12 tournament berth for you guys. Depending on how that outcome comes about, obviously you're not really worried about that, but if it does happen that you guys clinch something before heading into Washington State, how does that sort of impact the way you set up the lineup, maybe rest some guys to kind of prioritize health heading into that tournament?
We'll evaluate that at that point. I'm not overly caught up in we're going to play every game to win every game. Mm-hmm. Guys that can go, if they're healthy enough to go, and there are guys that are normally in the lineup, they'll be in the lineup. So, but if their 70% isn't quite good enough, then hey, then we got to make an adjustment, put somebody else in there. But my hope is that we get these guys back. I don't think the standings, the standings will impact what we do, because every game is important here down the stretch, regardless of if we're in or not. Every game is important, and we're going to play to win every game.
Now that you wrap up your first season at home here, biggest takeaways from first season here at Phoenix Meeting?
First and foremost, the fan support has been outstanding. We've had big crowds for the most part all year long. The fans have been great and coming out, and I think we just missed setting an attendance record, which hats off to our fans for supporting us and being back out here. It's been great to have them. Me personally, there's a lot that I got to get better at as a coach, and you don't learn that really until you go through it. And now that I've been through the better part of a year, obviously you kind of, in the moment, you're just going as hard as you can, but there'll be a time for reflection here at the end of the year, and I know that there are a lot of things that I need to get better at as a head coach and direct guys, and things that we have to plan to work on moving forward. We'll obviously address those at appropriate time that myself and our staff needs to get better at, but yeah, I mean, that's learning and continuing, and I'll never, now that I'm on this side of the coin as a player, when I was played, you always continued to try and improve, and you always had things to work on, and now as on the flip side of the coin as a coach, doesn't change. I don't have the gospel. There's things I got to get better at, and I know that. So it's a matter of self-reflecting at the end of this thing and knowing where I got to really make some improvements, and there's plenty of them, that's for sure. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the end all be all head coach. I got a lot to work on. So, but we'll get better at it.
How's Ethan feeling?
Certainly not 100%. That was a decision that we kind of made today, that he thought he could go. We've been given the information that he's not going to hurt his wrist any worse. It's just a matter of pain tolerance. Ethan's a tough kid. He's a competitive kid. He knowing with Connor being out today, he wanted to contribute. I asked him, how you feel? Do you think you can DH? And in so many words, he said, heck yeah. So I said, okay. And after the first at bat, I wasn't overly confident. He probably got tired of me asking him how he's doing okay. And after kind of his third at bat, he's like, it's pretty sore, coach. So just made the decision to, I love the competitiveness. I love the fact that he wants to be out there, but I'm doing him a disservice by continuing to put him out there, and he's not 100%. So, he's not doing what he's capable of doing because of a limitation that he has. And when that limitation is kind of, when you see it in his swing, that it's that noticeable, probably not fair to him, to keep running him out there, even though he wants to. So I made the decision to take him out after his third at bat, and again, it's to my point that's another big blow for us, that have your normal 3-hole hitter in the lineup for the last month that you can adjust so many times, but at some point in time you just go, geez, okay, sure be nice to have those guys back, but we don't. So
With Connor Davis having to be out, sort of expected that he wasn't going to be ready to go today. What went into, I'm assuming, a conversation with him, having him on senior day and not being in the starting lineup? What was that like to really tell him that you're not starting? But what was the message to kind of keep him up, considering he's still a leader with his voice, especially for all the guys in the locker room?
Well, when he tells me he's pretty sore, he doesn't have to tell me much more. So Connor's a guy that if he can go, he's going. And I've learned that about him, that I'll ask him how he's doing, and regardless if he's hurting or not, he's like, I'm good, we're good, well, let's go. And today when he says I'm pretty sore, he doesn't need to say more. I'm not going to make him tell me any more than that. So, but I told him, hey, we might need a Kirk Gibson moment late in the game, and he's like, I'll be there. If you need one at bat late, I'll be ready, and I'll figure out a way to get it done. So, I appreciate that. I'm going to miss that, when the season concludes, and that's just he's what the type of leader you want, because he gives it everything he has every day. Today, obviously, it wasn't enough to be able to give it, so he just was hurting too bad, too sore. But I think to answer your question on senior day, that was tough. you know, him and Boyd, you know, for that matter, and not to discount Dougie, but those other two guys have been here, you know, 3, 4, 5 years, and Boyd not being able to go today either. And those two guys you want to send out on a high note, last home game at least, on a high note, and unfortunate that they couldn't compete today, but it wasn't by anything other than just physical bad luck. So, like I said, hopefully we get those guys back and can send them out on a high note, and just won't be here at Muni.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.